Giri Varadari Gopijana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ke Jai Vishpad Paramahamsa Pravajikacharya Sotara Sata Shishima Resi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ke ISKCON Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ke Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ke Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ke Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're getting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. Is this loud enough? Srimad Bhagavatam 8 Canto, Chapter 12, Text 35 and 36. I'll read 35. Skane ritasi so pasyad atmanam devamaya jadik Kritam Nipashreshta Sanya Vartata Kashmalat. Translation. Is it okay? It's not loud enough. Can you hear us in the booth there, Prabhu, on computer? Do you mind somebody asking? Thank you. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of kings, when Lord Shiva had fully discharged semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he restrained himself from any further Maya. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Once one is agitated by lusty desires, upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more. But when semen is discharged in the act of sex, the lusty desires diminish. Thank you. The same principle acted upon Lord Shiva. He was allured by the beautiful woman Mohini Murti, but when his semen had been fully discharged, he came to his senses and realized how he'd been victimized as soon as he saw the woman in the forest. If one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he's not attracted by the beauty of a woman. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. Material existence means enjoying the pleasure of sexual intercourse. Yanmaitanadi grihamedi sukham. If one is educated about sex life and is trained to protect his semen, he's saved from the danger of material existence. And today's verse, text 36. If we can repeat. Atavagata mahatmya. Atavagata mahatmya. Atmano jagadatmana. Atmano jagadatmana. Aparigyeya viryasya. Aparigyeya viryasya. Namene tadu hadbhutam. Namene tadu hadbhutam. Atavagata mahatmyam. Atmano jagadatmana. Aparigyeya viryasya. Namene tadu hadbhutam. Please chant. Vaishnavis. Parigyeya viryasya. Namene tadu hadbhutam. Atmano jagadatmana. Aparigyeya viryasya. Namene. Ata. Thus. Avagata. Being fully convinced about. Mahatmya, the greatness, Atmanaha, of himself, Jagat Atmanaha, and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aparigyeya Viryasya, who has unlimited potency. Na, not. Mene, did consider. Tat, the miraculous activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in bewildering him. Uha, certainly. Adbhutam, as wonderful. Translation: thus Lord Shiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Vishnu had acted upon him. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as all-powerful because no one can excel him in any activity. In Bhagavad Gita 7:7, the Lord says, Mattat paratram nanyat kinchidi sti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, there's no truth superior to me. No one can equal the Lord or be greater than him, for he's the master of everyone. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 5:142, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasa Babritya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the only master of everyone, including Lord Shiva. What to speak of others? Lord Shiva was already aware of the supreme power of Lord Vishnu, but when he was actually put into bewilderment, he felt proud to have such an exalted master. Srila Prabhupada ki. If we could say a couple of prayers together, asking that Srila Prabhupada be kind upon me, kind upon you, that we might hear the transcendental message he'd like spoken, like heard. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gnanjana Salakya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabhandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Vanchakopatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of kings, when Lord Shiva had fully discharged semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he restrained himself from any further maya. Thus Lord Shiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Vishnu had acted upon him. So I think if you'll allow me, please don't mind, I'd like to start off with a little role play here. One way, we've heard lessons from this pastime of Lord Shiva and Mohini Murti that if Lord Shiva can fall victim to lust, become bewildered by lust, what to speak of us? I mean, no comparison between the tiny little conditioned jiva, even those of us trying to become devotees, and Lord Shiva. So the very good moral there. And we're hearing how no one can defeat Lord Krishna in any way, shape, or form. In Laghu Bhagavatam 8, it's said that Lord Ajita took the form as Mohini Murti. Ajita, he who is unconquered. So we have these lessons. And also another lesson I'd like to see if you catch on, how quickly you catch on. But did you guys hear? Lord Shiva fell down. He was running after a beautiful naked woman. Not only that, he discharged semen several times, again and again, in front of sages, going here, there. Can you believe it? I don't know why people would call him Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu, best of the devotees. He fell down. And then, of course, the Prabhu I'm sharing this nectar with might say, yeah, doesn't surprise me. He hangs out with really low-class people. He doesn't even have it together to have a home, a roof over his head. He lives under a tree. And he's always putting ashes. Yeah, I heard they're the ashes of cremated Vaishnava, but he wears ashes all over. Even wears garlands of bones, skulls of departed Vaishnavas. What kind of character? I'm not surprised at all he fell down. I think it's an important lesson to take note of. We've heard how Maya is very, very strong. Being the Tatashta Shakti of the living entity, tiny, infinitesimal, and the energy of the Lord, Maya Devi being directly connected with him, she's so much powerful than us. Daiva Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhiratya. So we've heard, it's not surprising when a devotee falls down or somebody falls victim to Maya. In the purport in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada said, everybody in this material universe, from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, down to the little ant, they're all victimized by this bewildering potency of Maya, the bewilderment of illusion. So that's not surprising. But how we deal with devotees that have challenges and have difficulties, that has to be understood properly. First of all, did Lord Shiva fall down or did he not fall down? When asked that question, I would say, was Arjuna in Maya on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? No, it was the arrangement of the Lord. When Lord Shiva became bewildered by Mohini Murti, now he did have a desire to see her, but he was feeling confident. I mean, heck, best of the devotees, best of the demigods. Demons may be bewildered by Mohini Murti, but I think I'm okay. Please, may I have your darshan? Another lesson. If there's any pride whatsoever, precedes the fall. Lord Krishna does not like to see even his most exalted Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis become proud. And of course, Vaishnavas of the caliber of Lord Shiva, they don't mind becoming an example for all of the other Prabhus, for all others. If the Lord wants to put me in bewilderment, if he wants to make a complete fool of me so that others can learn, if not by the grace of the Vaishnavas, Guru and Krishna, I'm treading down the same bewildering path, if not worse. They don't mind, not at all. So many lessons in this pastime with Lord Shiva and Mohini Murti. But we do have the verse from the 10th canto in answer to, is he in Maya or is he not in Maya? Where Shukadev Goswami says, it's in the chapter with Rasa Leela, which of course this is an auspicious day of both Balaram and Krishna having engaged in the pinnacle of loving reciprocations with their dearmost devotees, Rasa Leela. Well, it's said in 10:33:29, the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality we may see in them. For they are just like fire, which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. In the purport, the 11th canto, it is stated these great personalities are such as Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, Soma, Vishwamrita, etc. Now, okay, those are great Ishwaras. Those are great personalities. They can consume any apparent disregard of the injunctions of Scripture and not be fazed. They remain fixed in their service to the Lord. But what about us? What about so-and-so who did fall down? What about them? Well, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Api chet sudaracharo bhajate mamananyabhak sadareva samantavya samyak vavasti tohi saha. Mantavya, definitely you have to understand. You have to control your mind in understanding that if somebody has some difficulty in Krishna consciousness, don't just throw him out with the trash. You should understand that any devotee of the Lord is very dear to the Lord and to those who are dear to the Lord. True devotees, they don't throw anybody away. One person among thousands and thousands of people that Srila Prabhupada gave service to. He wrote letters saying, I've rejected him. I've asked him to leave our movement. If he comes to the temple, don't open the door. And then the servants of Srila Prabhupada, just a couple of weeks later, share with us that Srila Prabhupada was inquiring, how is such and such? Has anybody seen him? He was concerned for somebody who'd created such a grievous offense of throwing away Srila Prabhupada, in essence, wanting to take shelter of someone else, as if he wasn't a bona fide spiritual master. Give me your blessings to find a true bona fide spiritual master. How unfortunate. Another example, one godbrother of mine, a servant of Srila Prabhupada, a wonderful devotee. He fell into Maya. Go figure. Srila Prabhupada says, don't be surprised who has difficulties. Specifically, he says, who go away. Be surprised who stays. This devotee went away, symptoms of Maya, grew his long hair, and he actually engaged in blasphemy of Srila Prabhupada. That's so rare among those of the devotees who fall into Maya, to actually hold something against Srila Prabhupada. Maybe the Prabhus, maybe the institution. That's not that uncommon. Find excuses why I am turning away and falling into Maya. But Srila Prabhupada was at one temple where he was in the city, and he went to the temple. And Srila Prabhupada heard, oh, he's here? Bring him to me. But Srila Prabhupada, he's in total Maya. He's been blaspheming you. Srila, bring him to me. And Srila Prabhupada asked him when he came into his presence, he said, would you please cook for me? This was a service that he had when he was a servant. Prabhupada, shh. Would you please cook for me? The nature of the compassionate Vaishnavas, they only want to see all of us engaged in the service of the Lord. There is no other remedy for overcoming the difficulties that we have in this material world. Nothing is more pure, nothing is more effective and as powerful as devotional service. And those who are in the mood of our disciplic succession, those in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, they remember these things. Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, I talked to Bhakti Nityananda Maharaj this morning, and I asked, what was the nectar in Chennai? Please share with me. And he said, this was a message he heard 2 or 3 times. Jayapataka Swami asked all of you senior devotees, the more mature devotees, and when you think about it, everybody's more mature or more advanced than somebody else sitting next to them or in the room. But he asked all the mature devotees, please take seriously this responsibility of giving shelter to others. Diksha Gurus, they have the mood that I am constantly praying to the Lord. Please allow these fallen souls who are suffering to become dedicated, to become surrendered in the service of the Lord. Please, my Lord, please, Srila Prabhupada, help me to help them. He asked that the mature devotees take up the responsibility of Siksha Guru and pray to the Lord for empowerment to help those that have difficulty. And who among us has not had difficulty? Let him throw the first stone. Piety and complete adherence to the injunctions of Shastra, even Vaidhi Bhakti, is not what captures the Lord. It's Bhakti. You can be perfect in following all 64 items of Vaidhi Bhakti, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that's no guarantee that you're going to get the darshan of the Lord or the direct service of the Lord. It takes the surrender of one's independence. It takes one to realize, I have no other shelter. Please let me surrender unto you. So we should hold in high esteem anybody trying to engage in devotional service of the Lord, even those who are very neophyte. And one Prabhu, I was so encouraged. I don't see him this morning, but yesterday he asked a very brutally honest question, saying that here in Mayapur, it's wonderful. I have wonderful association. I'm in the Holy Dham. I can perform devotional service so enthusiastically, so wonderfully. But when I go to the West, I have such difficulty with lust, and I fall down again and again. One, I was encouraged by, he had the sense of security that with Mother Mahalakshmi, who was giving class, that he could ask such a question in public. And she gave him good advice. A verse that came to my mind in this regard from the 11th canto, this is spoken by Krishna himself. He said, and this is about unsteady bhakti, anishta bhakti. He says, having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction, even though he sometimes engages in sense enjoyment. My devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. It's a path strewn with many thorns, many obstacles. Krishna verifies, Daiva yesha gunamayi mama maya dharateya. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But Srila Prabhupada, when preaching on these topics, did anybody ever in hearing a class or hearing a conversation of Srila Prabhupada not get the understanding that you can do this? This is possible. You just have to follow the process as it is. Krishna himself says, Mameva ye prapadyante mayam itam tarantite. If you take shelter of me, you can cross over Maya very easily. Srila Prabhupada said, with the touch of my toe, I can shatter to pebbles the greatest boulder of obstacles in your devotional service. We have to constantly remind ourselves of these things. Actually, that's how one gets to the proper mood of Krishna consciousness. Every day you should be asking yourselves, I should be asking myself, why are you here in Bhagavatam class? Why did you chant japa this morning? Why are you taking prasadam when class is over? Why are you living with the devotees? We should be thinking like this every day. And if the motive is for something other than giving pleasure to the Vaishnavas and Krishna, then we should know that our faith is weak, that it's not pure. Pure faith means simply by surrendering to Krishna with no ulterior motive. That is in my best interest. One has to be convinced that all sense gratification leads to misery. Srila Prabhupada said everyone in ISKCON should recognize, should realize there is no happiness in this material world. Boom! Do we believe that? Do we really believe it? Now, Rupa Goswami says, Anyabhilashita shunyam, jnanakarmadya nabritam, anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. That anuvritti, that this definition of pure devotional service, free from any and all desires of sense gratification or liberation, this doesn't mean that one doesn't have material desires. Who doesn't have material desires? I mean, we have a hard drive that has been impressed with the samskaras and the activities and the memories, not just of this life, which for most of us was most sinful from birth until we met the devotees, but of countless other lives, countless lives. Every species is running after the illusion that I'm going to control, I'm going to exploit, I'm going to enjoy the opposite sex. And everything else I can lay my hands on. That's what's on the hard drive. In the first purport that we heard today, Srila Prabhupada says if one can remain brahmachari, especially komara acharad pragyo, dharmam bhagavatamiha, if you take up Krishna consciousness in the beginning of life, then one doesn't have these impressions. Then it's relatively easy. One sees a woman, one doesn't think lust. One thinks mother. One thinks respect. One thinks, how can I serve? That's brahmachari. And it's possible for those brought up in the proper, gurukula, proper training, proper association. Most fortunate. For most of us, better late than never. We had the struggle in anartha nivritti stage of bhakti. Okay, no problem. We keep the association so that the bundle of sticks can't be broken as easily. On our own, nothing. No protection, no shelter. Very easily fall prey to Maya. Srila Prabhupada, I have a couple of nice quotes here where he says, conscientious. Unless one is very conscientious, the influence of Maya can drag one away, even from the company of Lord Chaitanya, due to misuse of one's independence. This, of course, is from the pastime of Kala Krishnadas, where the Bhattaharis used the women to allure him into their camp. The definition of conscientious, unless one is very conscientious, the definition is unless one is thorough and painstaking, unless one is very careful in the execution of his devotional service, then Maya can be there. Sometimes when we prematurely think we're advanced, so I can cut corners. Nice example I remember that Jananivas Prabhu mentioned one time here in Mayapur. Said the hatchet obeisances. Had a dream of devotees in front of Nrsimhadev paying hatchet obeisances. We all know what it's like, boom, boom. Cutting corners. What kind of laying down and offering your life to the feet of the Lord and your Guru is that? The 6 Goswamis, some of them offered obeisances 1,000 times to devotees every day. Cut corners, and what do? You're simply making it a little bit longer before you get to the stage of steadiness that we're all looking for. Because Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Vishya vinivartante harasya deina rasovarjam rasopyasya param jisvaninavartite. In the beginning, we can be restricted from sense enjoyment. We can follow the rules and regulations, but the taste is going to remain. And he gives the example of a diseased person. I don't know how many of my godbrothers, when sick, Sridhar Maharaj, for example, liver wasted, can't eat anything. Hey, bring me some ice cream. Come on, you can sneak it in. Hey, can you bring me some pizza? No, the taste for palatable edibles remains, palatable food. But when you get the taste in bhakti, by having paid your dues, first of all, I said, material desires may be there, but you're not cultivating them. Something comes up, no surprise. Yamunacharya, how elevated was he? Now everybody quotes the part, he spit in disgust. His lips curled in disgust and he spit at the thought of sex life. How many times has that been pounded on the head of Prabhus? But do we remember the other part of the verse? Ever since realizing ever increasing tastes of service to my dear Lord, then I spit at the thought. When one has a taste, there's no turning back. Of course, we have independence. Even in the company of the Lord, you could turn away if you wanted. But when you realize, I've never experienced this before. There's nothing in this world that compares to the mellows of serving Krishna, serving the devotees of the Lord. Nothing compares to it. This Krishna consciousness is an exciting adventure. I remember that when I would watch Star Trek as a kid, space, the last frontier. No, Krishna consciousness is the last frontier. It's to be explored. It's to be dove into with full enthusiasm, excitement. But if we aren't asking ourselves, why are we chanting? Why are we hearing? If we're not staying focused on the goal, if we haven't reached steady bhakti, then we're going to waver. It's not surprising. So we have to pay our dues in steady devotional service and be patient. You never know what name of the Lord it's going to be where the Lord reveals himself. You never know. It can be right around the corner. When Narada Muni was meditating, he was blissfully surprised when the Lord appeared before him in his meditation. And very ecstatically, painfully disappointed when he disappeared. So the nectar of Krishna consciousness is what satisfies the mind and the senses. There's no getting around it. We have to practice controlling the mind and senses, and we have to become expert at it. That's why all the philosophy is there. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Listening to the philosophy, reading, studying, embracing, applying every day. Nityam Seva. Every day, as much as possible. So then it grows and it grows and it grows. The examples are there in the 11th canto about how any and all of the senses can grab one. Harisari said it the other day. Every sense is trying to grab onto sense gratification because the mind is in control. We're measuring everything in the material world. I like this. No, don't like that. Complete Maya. The business of the material mind is to keep us in this material world, period. A very bad master. So any one of the senses on which even a wise man focuses on can lead him to bewilderment. So the moth is the example about seeing. It said as soon as Lord Shiva saw Mohini Murti, he became bewildered. The moth sees the beautiful flame. What does it do? Flies right into it. Fire's beautiful. It's mesmerizing. But the moth flies right into it, causing its death. The sense of touch. In the 11th canto, Krishna says one should not even touch a wooden doll of the form of a woman, or one can fall down. Lord Chaitanya said, even if I see the wooden form of a woman, I can become bewildered. But the sense of touch, all the senses can be the instrumentality of Cupid's bewildering us. The elephant wants to touch the she-elephant, runs madly to her, and falls into the pit dug by the hunters. The deer hears the sweet horn played by the hunter. The ears, the sweet talks of a woman or of a man. Nectar to the ears. The small goo-goo gaga of the children, nectar to the ears. But all these things bind us if we're simply absorbed in trying to enjoy these things separate from Krishna's service. And last but not least, the tongue. The tongue likes to eat anything and everything. And the fish is the example. Doesn't think, what's the shiny thing that worm is wiggling on? Hey, there's a string connected to the shiny thing going out. What's going on here? No, they bite the worm, caught in the hook, and that's the end of its life. The tongue is the hardest of all the senses to control. You can fast and weaken and control all the other senses, but fasting just makes the tongue even more desirous of enjoying edible foods, palatable foods. So the first verse of the Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami says, Vacha Vegam Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam Udrapasta Vegam. It's a straight line. The tongue, the belly, the genitals. If we don't honor Prashadam of the Lord, eat anything and everything, and then of course overeating because you're never quite satisfied, and when the weight of the belly pushes on the genital, just easy pushing the conditioned soul into Maya. That's what people do. Eat, drink, have sex, and try to be merry. But if one can control these things, if one understands why we should control these things, then we have hope to come to the desire of, yes, I want to serve Krishna. I want to eternally serve Krishna. But on our own, we're not going to do it. The spiritual master and the Vaishnavas have to teach us and encourage us how to engage all the senses in Krishna's service. Mother Mahalakshmi talked about, she guided us through a meditation on the beautiful deity form of Krishna. His lotus feet, his tribhanga form, threefold bending form. I mean, once you realize how beautiful Krishna is, realize, tattvata. There's no looking at a material body of a conditioned soul and thinking, that's what I want to touch and enjoy. Doesn't enter into the mind. One time Shyamasundar Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, have you seen Krishna? Yes. What's he look like? It's a good question. Interesting answer. At the time they just had Bhagavad Gita and Krishna book. And, descriptions are there in Krishna book. Now we have, 10th canto and, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So many references to the unlimited beauty of Krishna's form. But you know what Srila Prabhupada said in answer to the question, what's he look like? He said, just like the flame of an acetylene torch, the torch that you use to weld things with, you can't look directly at it. In other words, his beauty is so overwhelming. We hear when Shyamananda Prabhu, it's his appearance day today, got darshan. I believe it was Lalita. It was either Lalita or Vishaka saying, did you find the anklet of my mistress? The beauty of this girl. And as the version given by ISKCON Desire Tree, he wouldn't give it up until the actual owner of the ankle bell came. When he saw Srimati Radharani, on his own he would have gone mad. But he was given a blessing. He was given the eyes to see, to be able to not be completely overwhelmed by the transcendental beauty of Srimati Radharani. But there are no descriptions in the words that really can comprehend or do justice to this. So we're meant to hear, talk about, remember, meditate on these things. This is how we control the mind and the senses. Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhurya Lila Guna Rupana Pratiksana Swadhana Lolupasha Vande Guru Shri Charanadavinda. The spiritual master is offered respect because he is always anxious to glorify the transcendental names of Radha and Krishna, the transcendental form, his qualities, his associates, his pastimes. He's very eager to hear these wonderful transcendental subject matters. If we want to become a servant, a follower of the spiritual master, every day the Brahmins, they chant, I meditate upon my spiritual master who is absorbed in blissful Krishna consciousness. And I pray to be enthused just like he's enthused or is enthusiastic. If we want to actually dwell, meditate upon, measure up to that desire expressed every day, 3 times a day by the Brahmins, we have to apply what he's giving us. The mercy is there. The rope has been thrown down to pull us out of this world, but we have to take advantage of it, hold on to it tight, and never to let go. And in the meantime, until you come to that steady platform, then we understand that one who's given up everything and taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one who's given up everything, taken shelter of him, is very dear to Krishna. If he's involved in some sinful activity by accident, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, removes his sins without difficulty. And that's from the 11th canto. And one last one on this particular aspect of today's discussion. In the beginning, this is 331 purport, 2 sentences that really caught me. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. At some point, we have to give it up. We have to fly our own airplane. Spiritual Master is giving the directions. He's opening the door to the spiritual world, but we have to walk through. And so, Manasa Deha Geha Yo Kichu Mo Arpilun Tu Apade Nanda Kishore. When one surrenders into the lotus feet of the Lord, he does so with everything in his possession, his house, his body, his mind, and whatever he possesses. If there is any obstruction to this surrendering process, one should immediately give it up without attachment. This is the challenge. If one has the desire, no problem. It just takes the desire. The Lord wants to see the best effort of each and every one of us. Not perfection, but the best effort. Give it all you can. That is what pleases the Lord. My best, your best, different levels. I mean, we have the moon-like devotees who give everything selflessly. They don't consider anything mine. It's all Krishna's. They know that, and I use whatever's in my stewardship, in my life, for the pleasure of the Lord. We have to follow their examples. We have to associate with such devotees and hear this katha, this nectar. If we do that, that's the remedy. And then the shortcut, the real easiest way to achieving this steadiness in devotional service. Because we're not going to do it by our own endeavor only. Not simply by our own endeavor. The mercy of Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna has to be there. And that is achieved very quickly through the process that I will now mention. In sports, it's said that the best defense is a good offense. If we want to become detached from this material world and attached to Krishna's devotional service, the best way to do it is to share it with others. Preaching Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada wrote in one letter, he said, whatever situation you find yourself in life, you should take it as the mercy of Krishna. And whatever the circumstances may be, one should use one's full endeavor to the best of one's ability to share the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and assist in the mission of the spiritual master. If one will do that, then one becomes very dear to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna. No one more dear than he, than who preaches my glories. There's one nice, let's see, verse spoken by the gopis, 10th canto. The nectar of your words, this is Krishna, they're speaking to Krishna. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate all one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are the most munificent. Munificent means very generous, extremely liberal and giving. Srila Prabhupada said, if you will take a risk in preaching, Krishna has to help you. The more you have faith in Guru and Krishna, the more risk you will take on their behalf. Certainly in the early years of Krishna consciousness, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, there was the expectation of miracles, constant miracles, because these devotees loved Srila Prabhupada. They didn't know that much philosophy. You know, you could make a big list of disqualifications, but they were fully surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. And they tried their best to do whatever they could to please him, no matter how difficult. They would jump without the net, knowing that Krishna would be there. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada embodied that, and he empowered others with that mood. One time asked, when 3-4 requests where invitations were sent to Srila Prabhupada, oh, Tokyo, L.A., London, where do you and Africa, where do you think we should go? Srila Prabhupada asked the secretary. Well, Srila Prabhupada, we haven't been to Africa yet. Yes, buy tickets immediately. Krishna consciousness is so ecstatic. And even though we may not have the ecstatic realizations of Krishna consciousness, when we do anything to assist those who do, then we become so satisfied, very happy, very excited. There's nothing better than sharing Krishna consciousness. And if we really want to become an instrument in sharing Krishna consciousness, then we have to realize on our own what an unqualified wretch we truly are. Every single devotee from the lowest to the highest should have this understanding. The highest, they do feel this way. This is their realization. Srila Prabhupada, when asked for a benediction, replied to one devotee, I'm very poor. I'm very insignificant. But Krishna is most powerful. He's the richest of all. I can pray to him, and he can fully empower you to do the needful. So that should be our mood. I'll quote it again. I think it's a wonderful quote that I heard Jananivas Prabhu gave in class. Giriraj Prabhu Maharaj said, sometimes I feel like I'm in Maya, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, sometimes. The pure advanced devotees are always praying to Krishna, don't let me fall into Maya. That is the mood in which Haridas Thakur could be the attempt could be made on Haridas Thakur to bewilder him, to have him turn his back to the holy names of Krishna, even when tempted by an expert prostitute or even Maya Devi herself. We're small, we're helpless, we're fools, we're offenders. We have sinful pasts for the most part, all of us. But if we realize I can't do it on my own, impossible. I'm so helpless. I'm so unqualified. And if we pray, if we chant in that mood and associate with those also who have or are cultivating that mood, then Krishna consciousness becomes very, very blissful. How do you become advanced, Jayananda Prabhu was asked? I don't know. I don't have time to think about it. I'm too busy. Get busy. Take up a responsibility in Krishna consciousness. If you're responsible for something, your mind is always having to think how to improve, how to maintain, how to carry on. Don't give the mind any opportunity to space out, because that means spacing out in Maya. Are there any questions or comments? Chaitanya Prabhu. There's a microphone if someone wants to be kind enough for the internet crowd. Can you make it short and concise because I spoke too long? Can you make the statement or question short and concise, please?
So the question is, it says, in the purport, it says, once one is agitated by lusty desires upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more. But when semen is discharged in the acts of sex, the lusty desires diminish. And then in the same purport, it says that if one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he is not attracted by the beauty of a woman. So my question is that I've also read in the Srimad Bhagavatam where it says that by engaging in sex life, it's just like pouring ghee on the fire. It just increases the desire for sex life, or the desire for engaging desires, but it seems like it's saying the opposite. So
what's the apparent contradiction? How do we resolve that?
Yeah, how do we resolve that?
One can have sex, and it's just like Christmas. Anyone who was raised in America, Christmas is, boy, when you're young, you look forward to Christmas. I got a mountain of presents underneath the tree. I can't. When the children get that, they're given permission, they rip into the presents. And it's like, oh, okay. No amount of presents satisfies the child. Expectation, growing, then and then as the material body is, how the psychophysical nature of it is, then there's a letdown. But just because there's a letdown momentarily doesn't mean that the desire has been satisfied. One continually endeavors in that way unless one gets the mercy of the devotees. There's nothing else to do if you don't get the mercy of the devotees. So it's not contradictory. It's just examining the individual act and how the energy drops for the male. And, of course, they have pills. They have the illusion of pornography and this and that, thinking, no, I can go on. I mean, what do you go on? A few minutes? Or pills, few hours? Or, Balaram's Rasayatra, every night was like a night of Brahma. Same with Krishna, the length. It's like, that's eternal, unlimited enjoyment, ever variegated. And what do we get here? We're trading our Krishna consciousness and our ticket to go back home to Godhead. We're like the foolish Native Americans. For some cholera-infested blankets and glass beads, we're giving away land and resources. For sex, for any pleasure of this material world, we're wavering in the desire to go back home to Godhead. Maya is so good, but Krishna is better. And we just have to stay focused on that. As long as we do, then more and more the heart's purified, the mind becomes more saturated with thoughts, remembrance of Krishna, desire to serve Krishna. And at some point, the excitement, the taste, you can't help but always think and talk and hear about Krishna. Nothing else I can do. That's what we yearn for. Any other question or comment? If you want to leave, it is that time. Short and concise. Microphone for the... Was that okay, Chaitanya? It's off. We can't hear you. No, that's the exact opposite of what it means. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear? Meditate on what I said. Good. The first part of the purport is talking about the individual act. Listen. And if you hear, maybe you'll be satisfied. The individual act, when the discharge of semen takes place, you may not have much experience. You're lucky if you don't. But if you've discharged semen in lusty thoughts, being bewildered, thinking, I'm going to enjoy, then you know there is a letdown. And for a devotee, he feels like a perfect idiot. Like, why did I fall down? Why did I do this? Even the karmi has to bolster the energy by artificial means because the energy is lost for the man. That's what it's talking about. But that doesn't mean that lust is ever satisfied by any sense gratification. You quoted the example. It will never be satisfied by sense gratification. Two separate things that make a complete whole. Is that okay? Can anybody hear him? Why isn't... Huh? You want to save your semen. Not just brahmachari, every man in Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Chaitanya. Prabhu, quickly. Microphone for the Prabhu.
Thank you, bro. I just say that Krishna wants to bring satisfaction in our life or disappointment.
If one wants to be,
Brings satisfaction in our life or disappointment. Disappointment.
why is it so hard to understand?
I mean to say that many Krishna appears in front of appears to different demigods and devotees, and again disappears. Means to say that
Yeah, okay.
brings satisfaction when he appears to us, and suddenly disappears. Why he continuously not appear to us, appear to the devotees and demigods?
Good question. Why doesn't Krishna continuously appear to us, and why does he disappear from those who he does appear? Lord Ram answered the question in Modadruma Dweep to Mother Sita, saying, I give my mercy to the devotees in the form of separation, service and separation. For those who have had the association, physical association, direct association of the Lord, when they are bereft of that physical association, they had no other desire but to get back into that association. Shyamasundar Prabhu, he said the same thing. I watched some memories last night of him glorifying Prabhupada. He said, I was always trying to get next to Srila Prabhupada and do whatever it took to keep him nearby. And I found out if I would invite important people in society, it was before others in the movement caught on to it, I could keep Srila Prabhupada in London for months if I kept bringing important, intelligent people to preach. But without that physical association, the great yearning is there. To this day, he simply prays and yearns to be reunited with Srila Prabhupada. Why Krishna doesn't appear to me? Why he doesn't appear to you? Why would he mess with the nonsense? There is no rasa basa in the spiritual world. Even though we're trying to serve Krishna, when we're on the platform of practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, our desires have not been completely purified. And thus we would bring some inebriety, dross, I like that word Bhaktisiddhanta uses, some contamination in it. When our purity has been reawakened to the point that we have something to offer the Supreme Pure, then Krishna will see, and he will come to us. When we take darshan, we were talking about meditate on the devotee. Part of the meditation should be, I want to be worthy of being seen. Passing the flame around, I had one Prabhu standing like this in front of the Lord. There was a time in India you'd get thrown out of temples for standing like this in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I said, Prabhu, you should fold your hands, not your arms, in front of the deities. We should be wanting to become qualified to be seen by the Lord. Let the Lord want to see us. Then we'll certainly see him.
So the purpose of Lord Krishna at this point is that to say he wanted to increase the love for him. For that he wants the separation after appearing to us and then disappeared to us.
Yeah, the pleasure the devotee receives and the Lord after the separation is 10 million times more greater than the previous association in loving reciprocation. It just keeps getting better and better because of union and separation. Union, separation. That's what Lord Chaitanya is offering. I think because of the time I'll end there. I want to just quickly insert two of my friends. It's their birthday today. One Prabhu named Bhishma. He's in Alachua. He probably won't see this, but that doesn't matter in regards to my requesting your blessings upon him. Another friend who asked not to be mentioned, who is an old Damvasi and will be leaving soon. Everyone who knows her likes her. Anyway, I would like to humbly ask that the devotees give them their blessings by simply chanting one Maha Mantra and giving them the results, if you don't mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki.